Welcome back to Valley Ridge Acres. Today marks the start of a big project here on the mountain. We're breaking ground with the Develon DD130 dozer as we push in a new road leading to the Bluff site. From there, the plan is to cut a pad for a future tiny house right at the Bluff. Next, I want to open another cut where the previous owner cut some trees and made a huge mess. I plan to use that cut to prepare a pad for the bungalow. The DD130 brings plenty of muscle for the job, 146 horsepower, an operating weight of about 31,000 pounds, and a blade just over 10 feet wide. It's built for tough terrain and heavy grading, which is exactly what we've got here. Much of this ground is solid rock close to the bluff, so I'll be spending time ripping and pushing to get it opened up. It's hard work, but the payoff is huge. The views from the top of this ridge are absolutely breathtaking, and this road and pad work are the first steps toward making the property more accessible and usable. Later, I'll come back with a mini excavator to finish cleanup, handle trees, and pull stumps. For now, let's put the DD130 to work and get this project started. Ever wondered who makes the DD130 dozer I'm working with today? I wondered that as well and had to look it up. It comes from Develon, formerly known as Dozer Infracore. The brand dates back to 1937 with roots in Daewoo Heavy Industries. In 2005, it became part of Dozer Infracore, and then in 2021, Hyundai acquired the division. In 2023, the name changed to Develon, combining develop and onward to reflect a bold vision for innovation and progress. This is my first time running a Develon, so we will see how well it destroys. After about an hour in the seat, I started to get the hang of the controls and the grade management software. There's always a learning curve with a new machine, but once I got comfortable, the DD130 felt smooth and predictable. The dozer handled the vegetation about how I expected for a machine in this weight class. Smaller brush and saplings pushed right over, and the blade cut through the roots cleanly. For anything heavier, the machine had enough balance and power to roll it out of the way without much trouble. Overall, once I got into a rhythm, the work started flowing a lot easier. Once I made it up to the bluff, the real challenge started, and progress slowed way down. The views from up here are absolutely spectacular. You can see for miles across the valley, but the ground itself is nothing but solid rock. The dozer has enough power to rip through, but it's slow going. Every pass with the blade takes patience, just chipping away at the rock layer a little at a time. It's not the easiest material to work with, but this is part of building on the mountain. You trade amazing views for tough ground conditions. Still, once this rock is broken up and graded, it'll create a solid base for the road and the pads we're cutting in. It's hard work now, but the payoff is going to be worth it. Time for a time lapse. I'll use the ripper to break this rock out in layers. Once it's fractured, we can push it out and get a smooth grade for the road and pads. Yeah. pad is finally starting to take shape. The outline is coming together, but I've had to slow the dozer way down. The ground is so uneven and rocky that it bounces me all over the place, and it's almost impossible to keep the blade level at higher speeds. Running slower gives me more control, and even though progress feels slow, it's the only way to hold a decent grade on this kind of surface. At this point, I'm just trying to slick the site up with whatever dirt I can find. The problem is the layer of rock here is exceptionally deep. There's hardly any soil to work with. I've scraped what I can to cover the surface, but honestly, there's not much more to be had. So the plan is simple. Instead of fighting it, I'll work with what I've got. The pad's solid as it is, and I'll just bolt the tiny house straight to the rock and call it a day. It might not be textbook dirt work, but it'll hold. That's going to wrap up the first phase of this project here at Valley Ridge Acres. The Develon DD130 handled the initial groundbreaking, cut in the road to the bluff, and roughed in the pads for both the tiny house and the bungalow site. It wasn't easy working through this much rock, but the base is solid and the sites are starting to take shape. If you were in the market for this machine, I would say it will do the job. Next time, I'll be back with the mini excavator to clean up the trees, pull stumps, and fine-tune everything the dozer left behind. That'll give us a clearer picture of how these sites will really come together. Thanks for following along, and make sure to come back for the next video where the excavator takes over. We've got a lot more progress to make here on the mountain, and you won't want to miss it.